Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition right here on Thumb Coast TV. I'm Brady Beedon, joined by Dennis Stuckey. And Almont is going to the semifinals. They did so in dominant fashion, 44-8 over Edison. Almont scored from their second play from scrimmage. Dennis, this one was never in doubt. We thought that there was a chance that Edison could give them a fight and potentially upset Almont. And the Raiders put our fears to bed pretty quickly.
Yeah, the Raiders are going pretty good right now. First 6 possessions of the game, they scored touchdowns on all 6. And then the backups came in and they got down to the 2-yard line before that drive stalled. No, they're going really good right now. Their top players are their top players. I thought Blake Lane, they kind of limit what they do with him.
They haven't needed to do anything more with him.
Yeah, but he does what he does do so well. Every time they run play action, which was 3 times, they got a touchdown. And they're all big plays. I think it was 26, 66, and 44 yards. So they get a big play, even though they only throw the ball 3 times in a game. And then they run, and they've got 3 guys that can kill you. They barely used Corno in the rushing game, 2 carries. But they didn't need to, because every time Jacob Stewart touched the ball, he got big yardage, scored 3 touchdowns, and Baholski quietly had almost 70 yards rushing, and I don't feel like we said his name that much.
No, and that's the thing with Almont. I mean, in this game, they showed maybe their base stuff. Like, they didn't, play action was the fanciest play they ran, and it was so wide open, it wasn't even funny. So they just absolute dominate Edison, and they'll go on to play Jackson Lumen Christi. And Dennis, this Almont team all year has just been getting better and better and better. At the start of the season, this was not an Almont team that we said is going to be 12-0, going to play and be undefeated going into play Lumen Christi in the semifinals. We thought they'd be good. I don't think many people thought they'd be this good. And they've just been getting better and better and better as the weeks go on.
Well, I thought everybody thought they would be a top 3 team in the BWAC, but I'm not even sure a lot of people were thinking they'd win the BWAC. They'd just be one of the 3 good teams that was in the race. And they have really just been going and going. And I think they're actually playing their best football right now. What they've done the last 2 weeks defensively needs to be talked about. Edison had scored over 40 points in 3 straight games,
including the first time
against Almont. Yeah, and they held them to 8 points. And really, had Almont kept their number 1 guys in, Edison wouldn't have scored in this game. And that was after they'd come off a shutout against Marine City. Well, I know it was banged up, but again, Marine City doesn't get shut out. We went through the numbers last week. It doesn't happen. So this is an Almont team that in week 1, they won by 3 points over Marysville, but that was
a 17-point.
Yeah, they ran 70 plays in that game, and their opponent, a very good playoff Marysville team, ran 20. And they just continue to, I think, get better and better every week.
Absolutely. They haven't had a game within a score since. In fact, since week 3, every game has been 3 scores or more outside of the first Edison game, which if you take away the first half of the regular season Edison game, they outscored them 28-8 in the second half of the regular season and then 44-8 in the playoff game. So they were decisively better than Edison.
72-16 in the last 6 quarters against them.
Yeah.
A team that was pretty good.
Yeah, that made it to a regional final. They will go on to play Jackson Lumen Christi. Now, Jackson Lumen Christi is maybe the premier power, especially for small schools in the state of Michigan. They've won 3 straight state titles. In 22 and 23, it was Division 7. In 24, it was Division 6. They beat Marine City on the way to that Division 6 state title in this semifinal game. Although this Lumen Christi team is human, they're still really good, don't get me wrong. But they lost 3 games. It was all earlier in the year. They've won every game since October. We flipped the calendar to October. But last week they beat Ida 21-7. And Ida was up 7-0 early. And Lumen Christi's defense has been really good. Like, even in the games they lost, they gave up 20 to a team from Illinois that's one of the best. They gave up 17 to Dearborn Divine Child. They gave up 28 was their big one against Grand Rapids Catholic Central. They don't give up a lot of points, but Dennis, I can't look at the way Almont's playing and say this is, I'm not going to go to a coin flip. I'm still going to give a lot of respect to Lumen Christi. 40-60 in favor of Lumen Christi, 35-65, somewhere in that range.
I think that's fair. Again, like Almont is built to be a team that can upset a team like Lumen Christi, just because the things they do so well are things that win in the playoffs. Defense, they're disciplined. They don't take penalties. They don't turn the ball over, and they generate turnovers. And they run the football better than anything else in the world. They run the football, but they can throw. So, I mean, they're very well balanced. There isn't one single guy where you say, we have to stop this guy. I guess you could say Corno, but if you're spending all your time,
2 times on the ground.
If you're spending all your time on him, though, Stewart and Bahalski will kill you.
So, I mean, Almont's been playing out of their mind. They're going to have to play a really good game, but Dennis, this is a winnable game for Almont. It's at Novi High School, which we've been to for a couple times for Marine City semifinals. They'll play Lumen Christi at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Almont can win this game, and the way they're playing, I'm not saying that they're the favorite and they're going to. Lumen Christi, I'm still giving a ton of credit to. From everything I've heard, they're huge up front. They might be the biggest team Almont plays all year, but the way Almont coaches their guys, the way Almont has been playing with confidence, I have a feeling they can win this game, and they can do so, and get to a state championship and maybe be the favorite there.
Yeah, again, I give Almont a chance in this game. I'm going to respect Lumen Christi. The numbers say you have to. I just went back like the last 20 years. Lumen Christi has 7 state titles. They've been in the playoffs all 20 of those years. In fact, they've been in the playoffs 28 years in a row, 37 straight non-losing seasons. 1988, Brady, before you were born, they had a 4-5 team. Shame on them. They're 206-41 in the last 20 years. And you know what? Almont's numbers over the last 20 years are almost as good. They just don't have that state championship.
Or
and maybe
6 of them or whatever you said.
And maybe that's a little extra motivation, too, for Almont, because that's the one thing on the checklist that they haven't been able to check off yet.
It was November 19th, 2021 was the last time Lumen Christi's lost a playoff game.
I do think both teams are going to run the heck out of the ball, and that we might play this game in 50 minutes.
I mean, it's been low scoring. Defense has been the side that both sides maybe are better at than the other. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a low scoring game, but I'm not going to tell Almont they can't win this game.
Hey, 2-0 or 200-0. Just get me a win.
Get to Ford Field any way you can. Harbor Beach found a way. They beat Beale City 26-15. That was the biggest hurdle for them getting to Ford Field.
Yeah, for a lot of people, this was the state final, although we both know in the finals they'll play a good opponent. But I don't know much about Bark River Harris. Yeah. Beach is going to win that game, and they're going to Ford Field.
I would feel very confident in that one. Like Beale City, I thought that was a true 50-50 game. I was worried, but they get the win at home. They play this one. They're going up to Alpena because Bark River Harris up in the UP.
Yep.
So Alpena's about the middle, not a short drive for Harbor Beach.
It'll be cold.
It'll be very cold up in Alpena, but I think Beach is the favorite to win this one and win it with a little bit of style.
Yeah, I mean, the cold might motivate you to try to get way out in front in this one. I mean, again, I don't want to, at this point, we're down to the Final Four in every division, so we know that the bad teams have been weeded out. You got all good football teams playing, so I don't want to say we're going to have a running time game in a semifinal. But why do I feel like we're going to have a running time game in the semifinal?
Because it's happened before. Upley did it to Iron Mountain a few years ago when they made it, I think in 21, when they got to the state championship game. They running timed them. So I think Harbor Beach might have the ability to do that here. On the other side, it's Allen Park, Cabrini, and Hudson. Hudson's going to beat Cabrini. I mean,
that might be a running time.
Since this, for a long time, we talked about it last week. It was Harbor Beach, it was Hudson, and it was Beale City who Harbor Beach just beat. It was just which two are going to be on the same side of the bracket. It was Beach and Beale City. Beale City goes down. Ergo, you're looking like Hudson, Harbor Beach for a state title.
Which is kind of weird to me because I feel like, I don't know, Cabrini should have been on Beach's side of the bracket.
Well, because they went north-south with it instead of east-west,
Yeah.
so that's how you end up the way it does, because Beach is more north than 16 other schools. So that's how you end up with those two that aren't that far from each other on other sides. All right, in 8-player, it wasn't great for our teams. Deckerville falls to Portland St. Patrick. The run comes to an end 36-15, but I can't be upset with anything Deckerville's done.
No, I mean, again, we kind of went through it on our podcast where, first off, you had to replace Garza, you can't replace Garza. But they moved Finnegan from wide receiver to quarterback, and they were doing Deckerville things. Then he gets hurt, and you throw a freshman in there. They have that one game against K-Pac where, oops, and you're thinking, okay, not Deckerville's year. But then they bounce back, and they win games that we didn't think they really were the favorite to win at this point, and got to the semifinals. St. Patrick's a good team. I think they're now probably the favorite to win the championship. And I think it was a pretty good year for Deckerville again. This is what they do. They just win and they win in the playoffs.
And on the other side, just worth mentioning in D1, it was a 20-8 loss for Kingston against Martin. They're still looking for their first trip to the state finals.
Yeah, Kingston, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. This is a good football program. I mean, you look at the last decade of Kingston football, all they do is win, except when it gets to the big money game. But I am glad they got to the semifinal because I think there's only one or two times before that they've done this.
Yeah, so just can't get over that last hump. All right, that'll do it for what we're talking about. Football, very quietly as the playoffs have gone on. Hockey started in the background. We'll take a look at the ice real quick when we come back here on the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition, right here on Thumb Coast TV.
From doctor's appointments to work, shopping, and dining adventures, Blue Water Area Transit buses are the lifeline of our community. Depend on us for a ride that connects you to life's essentials. Blue Water Area Transit. Ride the wave.
Riding the bus will avoid the hustle and save you lots of dough. Road rage, don't chance it. Ride Blue Water Transit everywhere you go.
Welcome back to the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition right here on Thumb Coast TV. Brady, Beedon, Dennis Stuckey. And Dennis, let's talk about hockey, which starts earlier than basketball, so it kind of goes on while everyone's paying attention to football. But our area teams have been playing a lot here recently. They've 3 games already for these 3 teams. Let's start with Port Huron Northern. 0-2-1 to start this season. They tied Grosse Pointe South. They were a very young team last year that took a lot of lumps. What are you seeing with this Northern team coming into this year?
Well, again, still relatively young, but a lot of guys with experience now. Sawyer Kemp was probably their best offensive player last year and best goal scorer. He's back in the fold. I think this is the year that Evan Alcomo will be the guy. They got a lot of mileage from Baumgartner, and he was sensational for them, especially in playoff games. Like he was good 2 years ago against De La Salle, and he was the reason they had a chance to beat Rochester Unified in the playoffs last year. They lost that game 1-0, but he stood on his head and kept them in that game. And another guy who's off to a good start this year, Lucas Birch, who for a couple of years I thought has had a lot of potential, and he had a couple of goals, and they've only scored 3 goals. He's been in on all 3, and he scored 2. So again, they didn't open the season easy. UAD, Grosse Pointe South, Trenton have been their 3 games, and they're going to play Catholic Central next.
Yeah, I mean, get those out of the way early. They struggled to score goals last year. That was the big thing. Is very rarely would they get 2-3 goals. Like when they were competitive, it's when it was a low score, grinded out game. I guess they're just looking for who's going to be the guy or guys that step up and become the goal scorers for them this year.
Yeah, and I think their mindset has to be defense first, and they're going to have to be more opportunistic this year than they were last year. Meaning when you do get that big chance in the game, you got to sink a couple of those putts. Otherwise, you are going to struggle to get victories. But again, they're going to play a fairly tough schedule all season long, and then they're going to get to the postseason. And not that it isn't a tough regional that they play in, but it isn't Catholic Central, Brother Rice, and teams like that. It's teams that they should be able to compete with.
Absolutely. Teams like L'Anse Creuse Unified, St. Clair Shores Unified, Rochester Unified, or Rochester Adams, excuse me. So good teams, but not MIHL state championship level teams. So see the light at the end of the tunnel, which can be tough. PH, they started off against varsity teams. They're 1-1. They beat Grand Blanc. They got blown out by Waterford Mott. They beat Brother Rice's JV team 4-2, which I know you hear JV and go, oh, what that JV team's better than a handful, a good portion of varsity teams.
It's as good as, if you put them in the MAC, they probably would win whatever league you put them in, or be one of the top teams.
Yes.
Again, for PH, they lose their number one goalie to graduation, but they were carrying 3 goalies last year, and they all got some experience. So I think they'll be all right there. Obviously, replacing Case Van Single, you're not going to do that. He was just stupid last year, 46 goals or whatever the heck it was. But you've got Joey Gilbert, a natural-born leader and a good player. Turnbull is back. As a freshman, he almost scored 20 goals last year. I think he finished with 18, and he's off to a hot start this year. Jax DeMille, kid from Memphis, going to give Memphis some love here. Jax DeMille had a really good season last year, and I think he's only going to be better. And I also, they've got some role player guys. Duffy is a guy who will probably score some goals, and he does some nice things. So I think PH will be okay.
And they're looking to take, that next step. Last year was a season where they were just erasing all the negative stats. Hadn't won 3 games in a row, hadn't beaten Northern, hadn't done this. Now it's okay. We established ourselves as a program because we combined with more than just 2 or 3 schools. Now we're 10 schools to create this team. Now let's build on that foundation and take that next step, win some playoff games, play for a regional title, things like that.
Yeah, and they had the luxury last year of, kind of putting guys in good situations so that, they lost their top 2 defensemen from last year's team, but the guys that were the back pairing D guys, got some confidence because they played in good situations, and now you can move them up into a higher pairing and expect good things from them.
And they had depth. They didn't have to roll 7 guys and you were triple shifting and things like that, where they could actually, play hockey and go and roll the lines and not have to play 40-some minutes of a hockey game, and we're just done by the end of the night. So expecting nice things from PH. Marysville, the record tells you they got off to a bad start, but Dennis, they are preparing for a region of death, and they are scheduling anyone and everyone that will play the Vikings. They're 0-3, but that includes an overtime loss at a defending state champion in Flint Powers. They lost to Riverview Gabriel Richard and UAD 3-1. This is a Marysville team that's going to challenge themselves.
Yeah, they've played 3 really tough opponents, and they've been competitive with all 3. And this is exactly because they know that when the playoffs start, they got to go to Cranbrook. And they're probably, whoever they draw, it's going to be a good team, unless they
Cranbrook, Liggett, De La Salle, all in that region.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough. They lose LaValle, who just sensational. Probably statistically the best player to play at Marysville, certainly since I've been around, and I've been around since the mid-'90s. But Thick is an incredible talent. O'Boyle was a real good player for them last year, and he's back this year, and I think he's a 20-goal scorer. And I like the defenseman Nolful. He's like having another forward on the ice. The question always for Marysville is they'll go as far as their goaltending takes them, and so far against 3 tough opponents, I actually think the goaltending looks like it's been holding up.
Yeah, because when they play a team like their next game is going to be against Utica that's going to be a nice litmus test to see, all right, you've played some 3 really good teams. How do you do against someone maybe in your weight class?
Yeah, and Utica's actually been pretty good the last couple of years. They've been the team that Marysville's been battling with for league championships. But yeah, you've got to feel like they're at least a half step back from what you've been playing.
Yeah, when you're playing, again, Flint Powers and UAD, probably, yeah. I know another name you like on Marysville, Krasinski, another big body for them.
Big Drew, football player, hockey player. Now, he's not going to score a ton of goals for you, but he's going to do things that help you win. He's going to win battles in the corner because he's just too big and strong to move off the puck. And he's going to get in front of the net, and that's where he will get some goals.
And the one thing I like about Marysville, they're going to have depth. They have a lot of players on their team this year. So they're going to be able to try to see if they can find a couple guys to bring along as the season goes along as well. Last team I just want to mention, Thumb Legion. They started off 2-0. It's against Essexville, Garber, whatever. That's
Tri-Valley.
Tri-Valley, yeah. Garber's the host, and Adrian, which I don't even know if it's Adrian or if it's a combined school.
It's down in Lenawee.
Yeah. So, I mean, 2 teams, they put up 17 goals. That's kind of been their MO is they'll score a lot, they'll give up a lot, but they hope they score a few more than they give up.
Yeah, and Ben Meyer had a hat trick in the first game. He's back from last year. He had a big year last year, was their big scorer, despite having an injury. And Peyton Bowerman's been a good player for them for a couple of years now, and I think he's had 2 goals in each of the first 2 games. So their 2 best players are off to a really good start this year. Again, the question will be, how will they be in their own end, and will their goalies make enough saves for them? But, they'll definitely score against a lot of the teams that are on their schedule.
And I guess the early litmus test for them, how do they do at the Larry Manns? Because that Thanksgiving weekend tournament, they usually don't do too well. And if they can at least be competitive, that's just, okay, you've taken a step forward. Because they're going to play Marysville, and we know Marysville, they've won 2 of the last 3. They're the favorite going into this year's.
Yeah, and Marysville beat them pretty handily, if I recall, from last year. And then they gave Northern, a good game for 2 periods, and then Northern pulled away from them. And they also faced Northern in the playoffs, and that could be a matchup again this year.
Both in the same region.
So the Mans is actually an important event for Thumb Legion.
All right, that'll do it for our hockey talk. Again, this Saturday, Almont takes on Jackson Lumen Christi at Novi, 1 o'clock on Saturday. Beach is playing Bark River Harris in Alpena, 1 o'clock on Saturday as well, if you want to follow those. For Dennis Stuckey, I'm Brady Beedon. We'll talk to you next week right here on the Get Stuck on Sports TV edition on Thumb Coast TV.